Well, brothers and sisters, today we celebrate a special saint for me. He's one of my favorite saints. His name is St Bruno. He lived about 1,000 years ago. He was the founder of the Carthusian order. So the Carthusians are a group of monks called the Anchorite monks. So anchorites are monks who live in the same monastery or in the same premises of the monastery, but they spend most of their time in solitude. They are also, but they do get together, once a week for recreation, also daily for Mass. But for the most part, they're spending time in their individual monastic cells with simple work and prayer, guided by a spiritual father and the prior. St. Bruno didn't start off as a monk. He, in fact, was a priest, and he spent a good portion of his life in the administration of the local church, but only to eventually find that great treasure within every human being, which is this ability to receive God. And when he found that treasure, he decided to go off to become this anchorite and found this religious order. One of the reasons why he's so important to me, or someone that I find to be very inspirational even after 1,000 years ago, is because there's a couple things there. One is this ability to live in solitude. In today's world, where we really frown upon those that live in solitude, because we equate solitude with loneliness. So in the Christian traditions, especially in the monastic tradition, solitude was a good thing. Why is that? Loneliness, not a good thing. Solitude, a good thing. Solitude is this this way of living with God. So you're not alone. You're in union with God. And so these monks that lived in solitude, the hermits and the anchorites, were men and women who found God and wanted to have this deep, deep communion with them by searching internally. And you can only do that by living in solitude. Very, very important within the Christian tradition. Loneliness is not having anybody, right? And we all experience loneliness, and it's not a good thing, because it's the absence of anyone present, and then our ability to kind of even shun God away. That's loneliness. Another important point, all this living in solitude, this life of prayer, simple work, you would think St. Bruno should have been forgotten. But every so often, Pope Urban II and other popes would call him out of the monastery to be at the service of the universal church. And so throughout his monastic time, he would get called to Rome to be at the service of the universal church via a mission from the Pope. Now, let's be honest. Most of us are not going to serve in some universal capacity for the universal church. Most of us are not going to be some anchoritic monks living in some solitude place up in the hills of France or in the hills of Calabria in Italy. So let's just get that out of our minds. Most of us are not doing that, right? Most of us are what? Waking up every day, trying to take care of a school or a church, or going to work, trying to take care of our families, our sick children, whatever it is, right? That's what most of us are doing. But we can take from St. Bruno's life a little bit of what he experienced. So you can take 1 to 2 to 3 minutes to 5 minutes out of your day, if you can, and spend some time in solitude. And that time in solitude should be a time of reflection of your life with God, that communion with him, that communion with the Lord Jesus that he wants to have with you, even if it is just 5 minutes. Maybe it's a minute here, a minute there throughout the day. The other thing is, we can have all of our plans together, that this is what God has called us to do, or this is what we're going to do, this is what our family needs to do, etc., etc. But sometimes surprises are going to come where we need to go outside of our comfort zone, just like St. Bruno, living in solitude in his, monastery, but being called out of it. Sometimes we're going to be called out of what we think is our mission to be at a greater mission for the sake of others. And that happens constantly. So St. Bruno can really help us in a real way to discover God in the midst of great work, in the midst of family issues, in the midst of suffering. We can discover God. And in fact, we can have him constantly dwelling with us in solitude. Peace.